Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the DNC Marketing Podcast. I'm Darian. It's another beautiful day here in sunny Hawaii. And today on the podcast, we have Christina Mattison. Did I say that right? Christina Mattison? Yeah. Okay. Awesome. She's joining us today. Christina is a certified yoga teacher with over 500 hours of experience. She also recently quit her job as an engineer to pursue entrepreneurship and her passion for teaching yoga. She recently opened her brand new yoga studio, Rolling Oaks Yoga, just in time for COVID to hit. So in less than a week, she actually pivoted her entire yoga studio online, now offering 5 virtual classes a week. So additionally, she is also the founder of the Yoga Strong program, a holistic wellness program that empowers women to take ownership of their physical and mental health and transforms their relationships with themselves through yoga, mindset coaching, and more. So I'm really excited to get into this one. Without further ado, let's get into it. Hi, Christina. How are you?
Hi, Darian. I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing so good. And I'm really grateful to have you on. This is something I am really excited about because I love to do yoga and I have some personal things I want to share, but I don't want to take all the mic time. So Christina, I gave you a little intro in the beginning, but maybe you'd like to tell our audience in your own words, if I can get them out today. What drove you to actually start your own business, and what made you take your yoga practice from an in-person studio online?
Gosh, yeah. So the shifting of my career was kind of like I call it my quarter life crisis. I was about to turn 30 and I realized, well, I kind of knew it, but I started to really accept the fact that I hated my job. Like I was very stressed. My anxiety was through the roof. I have chronic anxiety, and I was just a hot mess. It was bad, and I wasn't my best self for anyone, not for my daughter, not for my husband. And I finally just got to the point where I was like, I hate this job. Why am I still doing it? But my identity was tied to my job. My identity was tied to my career that I had put about 10 years of my life into. And so I didn't want to leave it behind because of pride and because of my identity and because it was a pretty nice paycheck. But I started working with a life coach, and he was like, okay, yeah, it pays good, but are you happy? Do you live your life with joy? Are you excited to wake up every morning? And I was like, no, no, no. And he's like, so what? Why are you sticking in this job that just brings you zero joy, zero fulfillment? And why not unleash this dream that you've had? And it came down to a lot of mindset and a lot of limiting beliefs that I had been carrying around. And once he helped me to start working through those limiting beliefs and kind of breaking the barriers down, I realized that it was okay for me to quit my job. It was okay for me to leave. Nobody was going to die. Our finances were going to be okay. And finally, I got the push that I needed from both my life coach and my 500-hour teacher training program to just go for it. So yeah, I handed in my notice of December of last year, and it was weird and uncomfortable, and it took me weeks to accept it. But once the new year started, it was just so freeing to not have to get up and go do someone else's work, to have to get up and do something that I didn't love or care about. And now I'm getting to wake up every day and actually feel fulfilled by helping people through yoga, getting to do what I love. And it's just, I'm getting to spend more time with my family, which has been so great and challenging and very difficult at times. But I've grown so much in the past 5 months, more than I ever thought I would. And it's been really fun to experiment and fail and try things. And, so to kind of lead into your second question, I had just opened my yoga studio. I had been teaching for gyms for the longest time, getting paid, 10, 15 bucks a class. And I'm like, this stinks. It's not even worth the gas money to get here. And So I was like, well, why don't I just try a little pop-up yoga studio? So I rented a space, I opened the doors, and I was able to pre-sell like over $1,000 worth of like customers into my yoga studio. And I'm like, this is great. And then 3 weeks later, everything closed down. Everything was closed, all the gyms, all the yoga studios, everything was closed. And I was like, what do I do? Do I just shut it down? You know, these people have already paid me for yoga and I want to keep teaching and keep, you know, connecting with my students. And so I dug into how to teach yoga online. And it was the most stressful couple of days trying to figure out the technology and, you know, trying to figure out how to market classes and get people signed up. But after a couple of days of some serious homework, I was able to pivot my whole yoga studio online. I transferred almost all of my customers onto my virtual studio. And I've been teaching 5 classes a week online ever since.
Wow. That's an incredible story, not just from the aspect of you left your job, which was so comfortable, right? Even though it was high anxiety, like you said, the money was pretty good and you knew what you were doing, and having it tied to your identity. We hear this kind of thing all the time from people who are trying to decide if they should leave or not, is that pride aspect. And I very much feel that in different aspects of what we've had to let go of with our business throughout the years. And it is hard to do. But then you transitioned and you're like, this is actually wonderful, right? Your anxiety lowered, you get to spend time with your family. You can't finally get to live your dream. And then bam, COVID. Like what, not, I mean, that alone is obstacle enough, right? But what are some other obstacles you had to overcome and how did you do that? Like the mindset behind that must have been so challenging.
Yeah, so I had never really done any mindset work before this, 500-hour training that I was going through, before I worked with a life coach. I had never challenged myself or my beliefs before. And so not only did I have to overcome beliefs about myself, but I've had to overcome the obstacle of getting comfortable with sales. It's, as an entrepreneur, you have to do everything. It's not just, I don't get to just teach yoga. I'm also the head of the marketing department. I'm also the head of the sales department. I'm also the head of the, payments department. You have to do everything yourself at the beginning. When you're first starting out, before you have the capital to hire on an employee, you have to learn how to do everything from scratch, building the website, figuring out the technology. And so all of these were obstacles for me because I've never been very technologically savvy. I don't know how to code. I don't know how to build a website from scratch. I didn't even know the platforms on which to do that when I was starting out. So I had to do the research, I had to figure out and ask questions, ask other people in the industry, what are you using? Please help me. And, slowly but surely, and my husband has been really helpful. He's currently my website designer. I don't pay him anything, but he's great. He has been helping me along the way, and us working together has been so fun. But one of the biggest obstacles I think I had to overcome was feeling gross for selling stuff. Like, I had this feeling of like, oh no, if I ask for people's money, then I'm sleazy and I'm gross. And I'm still working on this one, but I have started to work my way towards the realization that my yoga offers incredible value to people, and just like I'm sure many of your listeners, their business offers incredible value to people. And when you realize and recognize the value that they offer and the outcomes that you can produce, you're not selling anything anymore. You're offering a service and you're exchanging energy with people. As I offer my services to someone, they are compensating me with their energy in the form of money, so that it's a mutually nourishing relationship. And realizing that and coming to that conclusion and starting to get more comfortable with the fact that I deserve to be compensated for my effort and for the space that I hold for people and the training that I've been through, that was probably the biggest obstacle. Is one, overcoming imposter syndrome, believing that nobody wanted to pay me for what I could do, and two, being willing to put it out in the world. and offer it to people and say, yeah, I do expect to be compensated for my time and money. Because there's this stigma with yoga teachers that, we're all about, giving and giving good energy. And so many yoga teachers get burnt out because they don't get paid, or they take bottom dollar for their services because they feel yucky asking for money. But in turn, by, being nourished by the money that I'm being paid, I give myself better to my students, and I'm able to produce higher services because now I have capital, I have financial capital to invest in technology and to invest in a decent website and to, reinvest in my business so that my services just keep getting better and better and better. So that's all. I talk a lot, but yeah, lots of obstacles that I'm still working through. But I would say like the sales and the imposter syndrome were probably the two biggest ones that I had to overcome.
And that is so common. And keep talking, because everything you're saying, like we hear all the time, it is so hard to get used to the idea that it's okay to ask for money. I just got off of a training where I was showing our entrepreneurs how to create an email sequence. And the number one thing they kept asking was like, yeah, but my people don't like to hear from me. They don't want me to ask for money. I'm like, well, is that really true? Or are you talking to the wrong people? Are you catering to 3 people who maybe should have unsubscribed from your list a long time ago, versus thinking future and trying to get the right people on your list? For example, talking to them in person, however you're going to sell to them. Instead of focusing on getting the right people onto your list so that you can say, hey, I have this great thing and you want it. Let's have that, like you said, that mutual exchange, that mutually nourishing exchange of energy, of compensation, of help. Absolutely
Yes.
fantastic. Fantastic words. And overcoming that mindset of I can't do it or I shouldn't do it. And having that, like, I thought it was very interesting too that you said yoga teachers get burnt out all the time. And it makes total sense to me that they want to give and give and give, because you're right. That's the thing I think of is you're a giving person. You're here to help me feel better. Why shouldn't you want to give and give? But then it also makes a lot of sense to me for you to say they get burnt out because they give too much and they feel bad about asking for money and time. The people who are providing you this feel good energy, this way to uncoil all of the anxieties in your own body, they're coiling up just trying to run their lives and their business. And that should not be the case.
Yes, absolutely true. So true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's some great insight, as well as like the mindset obstacles. Like you said, you had to reach out and ask for help on like the technical stuff because you pivoted on a dime and had to like pull up the website and do all of these things. What specific tasks did you have to learn or ask for help on in order to make that happen? And how quickly did you have to pull all this together?
Yeah. So, I got the bare bones together within like 3 days. And that was just, I mean, it's bare bones. I have a Facebook group where I post the schedule for the week, and then I do it all through Zoom. I have them register for the class through Zoom, and it's a lot of work. It's a lot of like admin type work there. I'm sure there are more automated ways to do it, which I'm researching right now. But the specific tasks that I had to figure out was, one, how to get the word out, how to market my classes. And then I had to figure out, how do I actually set up, like, how do I do yoga over Zoom? How do I make sure that I can still see my students and interact with them? And so I have this funny setup where I'm like, I've got Zoom on my phone, which is on the other end of the room, so they can actually see me demo the poses. And then I have my like tablet over here that has like the screen of all my students so I can see. So it's definitely a little rough around the edges, but it's working. So I think, one of the things that I need to overcome in the next couple of weeks is, how do I streamline the process? How do I find, a scheduling software that, it's kind of a one-stop shop for people that want to sign up for classes. And then the next task will be to organize the payments, because right now it's just like, send me your monthly payment at the beginning of the month. And it's a lot of work on the front end. And I would definitely like to have it more streamlined. But, in the immediate pivot, it's what worked in the short term. And I think a lot of the times people are afraid to put out something that's imperfect. I know I am. I'm so afraid to put out something that's imperfect because I'm a perfectionist. That's part of my personality. And, for me, it was, do I keep offering yoga imperfectly, or do I stop offering yoga and you spend all this time trying to make it perfect, and in the meantime probably lose my customers because there's this big gap in service? So I put out something that was imperfect, that was rough around the edges, that was not the most well-oiled machine, but it's out there. My students are responding well, and now I have the ability and the flexibility and the capital to now start looking into how can I do the next step to streamline it, to make it easier, to save myself some time. Good gracious, that would be really great, because I can't tell you how much time I spend, scheduling this class and then scheduling this class. So, it's just, for me, it was just getting it out there quick and improving it as I go, making continually making improvements to the process.
I think that's brilliant. And we tell people that all the time. And I'm sure you've heard this advice. It's been around for a long time, but like get it 80% done, right? And then tweak the other 20%, because so many people spend years, and we've had some clients who've spent years trying to make their WordPress website work, and saving them a little bit of money to get a little bit of coding done, saving a little bit more money, or trying to figure it out themselves and just really feeling stuck, and they never get it done. When it is easy, just get it, be scrappy, get something pulled together to show your customers that offer, and then tweak with feedback. Because even things that we've gotten done, like entire courses, we've spent all this time and all this money creating, and we're like, okay, we're 100% happy with it. And we throw it out there and we get feedback and we're like, oh, we didn't consider these things. Now we have to put some time and money and energy into changing it. So if we had just gotten 80% of the way there and then incorporated that feedback, it would have been even better with less work on our part. And that is always the case, because feedback is the most important part of that process.
Yes. Oh my gosh, that's so true. Right now, I'm going through that process right now with my Yoga Strong program. The beta program launches like within the next week, and it's a beta. So that means it's not perfect. And guess what? It's not done either. But I have people already enrolled in the program because I know what it's going to look like. And these people that are already enrolled are going to help me build it, help me make it what people actually need versus what I think they need just in my brain. Yes, I've done, a significant amount of market research, but at the same time, if I'm using my beta program students to actually help me build out and flesh out the program and make it better, one, I'm going to have a really good program on the other side, but two, they're going to have like the best testimonials, because they're going to be like, oh my gosh, she tailored this program to exactly what I needed in my life because I built it as I was going. I have the outline, I have the kind of bare bones of it, and then I'm building the rest of the body as we move along. So, you put something out there, but done is better than perfect. And as we go, we'll tweak and we'll build and we'll fix, and we'll find that mistake in the middle of the video that I'm like, well, shoot, I bet I got to go back and fix that. But, when you put something out for the first time, it's not going to be perfect, and you just got to put it out there and then make changes from there, like you said, and at least you'll have money on the other side to maybe make those changes and invest in those changes, rather than putting in all the money up front and then nobody buying it, because you didn't have them already enrolled.
Absolutely. And that's a mistake we've made before. And that's a mistake we've talked to many entrepreneurs who have made before, who assume they know the best thing for their customers. And lo and behold, they didn't. They made the assumption without feedback, without validation. So I think that is absolutely perfect. And I'm sure a lot of like your engineering background has to do with a lot of this thought process, right? Because what it sounds like to me is like that classic entrepreneurial saying of like the entrepreneurs, they build the plane as it's crashing down to the ground. You build the plane on the way down to make it fly. You have to come up with all of these different things to pivot on a dime and think creatively. How much of your engineering background has played into what you're doing now?
Gosh, I would say that probably my heat transfer classes don't factor in that much to what I'm doing, but the critical thinking that I had to use during my engineering classes, during my engineering years, kind of the scientific process, if you will, the experimentation, the tweaking, the experimenting again, that has kind of factored into it. And then, to be honest, I think like the work ethic has kind of factored into it as well, because the engineering program that I went to was not easy. And you just had to like scrap your way through it. You had to pull those late nights and spend hours in your teacher's office being like, I don't understand. And so, I think between the critical thinking that I developed, and the work ethic and the study habits, that I developed during my college years, and then my years serving as an engineer in the military, all of these have created for me a very strong work ethic, a very stubborn mindset, like I will get it done one way or the other, has kind of led me to the point of being like, I'm not going to give up on this. I'm going to keep trying things, keep experimenting, keep making it work. And so I would say, yeah, more of the critical thinking and work ethic of being an engineer has probably factored the most into my role as an entrepreneur.
Oh, wow. And I didn't even realize that you're an engineer in the military.
I was, yeah, for 6 years.
Wow. So that's even more of like, and I'm in the military as well. So for me, what I see in the difference between what I do as a civilian and what I do in the military is they do expect you to, like the saying, drink from a fire hose when you're learning through those training programs. Yeah. So if you
Yes,
don't get
yes.
it like that, you're going to be left behind. So you have to use that scrappy mentality and that teamwork mentality, reaching out, asking for help, letting go of all ego if you're going to make it at all.
Yes. Oh, that's so true. I didn't even think about that. The team aspect of it has been huge. The asking for help, the not trying to do it all by yourself. That has been another, I think, big factor for me, is because I'm a do-it-yourselfer. Like I'll just get it done, and then my shoulders are up to my ears, and I'm super stressed, and I'm having a meltdown. And when really, if I had just asked for help in the beginning from my teammate, it would have been much better. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So that is absolutely incredible. And I think that leads us really well into what's different about your life now versus how the military and how engineering was. You teach a specific aspect of yoga, not just I'm going to show you the poses and leave you from there, but you actually go into let me see, a lot of things here in the science behind it. It's alignment based. Why don't you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so there's so many flavors of yoga teachers out there, and people are going to find the flavor of yoga teacher that really resonates with them. And for me, yes, I do appreciate the philosophy and the foundation of yoga. Some people may call it the woo-woo stuff, but it's, for me, I am most interested in, and I most resonate with, the science behind yoga. What does yoga actually do within your body? What does yoga actually do within your mind and your brain and the neurons and the geeky stuff? And maybe that's a carryover from my nerdy days as an engineer, but I just love that the cause and effect. If I do this and I feel this, this is the outcome. And so for me, my yoga teaching is very science based. I care about your alignment, and I care about exactly which muscles are firing and where your bones are in space, and that you're maintaining proper engagement, so that we're not just moving carelessly through these poses, but we're actually moving safely and intentionally from pose to pose, and there's a point to it all. There actually is an intention in my sequencing. I don't just string a bunch of poses together and I'm like, we're doing this today. Every single class that I teach has a very specific intention, whether it's a muscle group or stabilizing this joint. So for me, in another life, I think I would have been a physical therapist because I'm just fascinated by the human body and how it moves and how it functions. And another thing that I really care about when I teach is that making sure I'm fitting yoga to every body, because people's bodies are so different, and people's bodies are so, like, everybody has had a different experience. They've experienced, different injuries, maybe their anatomy is different. And so I really take care during my teaching to make sure I'm making it doable for every ability and for every body's anatomy, which, is so different. So my classes move sometimes pretty slow, because I'm like, oh, well, if this doesn't feel good, maybe try this, or maybe put your knee here, or maybe reach this way, because I want people to really have their own experience and not feel like they have to follow this robotic sequence of poses, but instead they're doing what actually feels good to them.
So, and that's incredibly interesting. And I love me some woo. So we can go into a little bit of that too. But
Sure.
yeah, the reason I do yoga is because I sit at a desk a lot. Even in my military job, I sit at a desk, and that is so hard on my body. And then I'm expected to be physically ready to do a physical test every single year or every 6 months. So that means I've got to be running consistently, doing my sit-ups, doing my push-ups, making sure I'm eating right. And all of that can be really hard on my body, especially, I've noticed, after turning 30, things have changed.
Oh
So
my gosh.
yeah, and
Turning
if
30.
I don't do yoga every single day, I feel it, and I can feel it in every aspect of my body, and especially my back. What was it that drew you to yoga in the first place? You talked a little bit about anxiety, and I have personal stories with that too, but I would really love to hear, where did it come into your life?
Yeah, so I was on a deployment, actually. I was deployed to the Middle East, and I was working a really stressful job. I was in charge of construction management for a very large base in the Middle East. And man, I had a 1-star breathing down my neck on the status of construction projects. And so I was just really stressed. Like, my anxiety was through the roof. And I didn't have at that time a very good, like, fitness routine. Like, I was kind of all over the place. I would be like, I'll run, 2 miles today, and then I'll, pick up some heavy stuff tomorrow. But nothing I did had an intention. Like, nothing I did had like an end goal. So my roommate dragged me to this yoga class, and I was like, oh, yoga is so boring. I don't want to do it. But I went, and thank God I went, because I was addicted. It was this vinyasa style hot yoga class, and it was hot accidentally because the air conditioner was broken in the gym. But afterwards, I laid on the floor in a pile of my own sweat, thinking, that was amazing. And I'm so exhausted, but I feel so good. And so I kept going back, and I kept going back. And I started building strength in ways that I didn't even know that I could. My push-ups, taking the PT test, I'm with you. My push-ups always were really terrible. But after doing yoga, all of a sudden I was able to, like, almost max my push-ups on the PT test. And it was just, I felt so strong. Like, my core started to, like, wake up. And I had less pain. I had less low back pain. I had less shoulder pain. And I just felt better. I knew every week that I was going to have that opportunity to just shut everything else out, tune everything out, get on my mat, and show up for myself. And then at the end, I was going to be a hot, sweaty mess, but I was going to feel just totally blissful. The shavasana pose that we do at the end of every class is like the best, especially after like a sweaty vinyasa workout. And so I just got addicted, and I had to know more. I was like, I want to know everything there is to know about yoga. How can I learn more? And at the time, the only way to learn more was to do a teacher training. So I came back from my deployment, and I signed up for a teacher training on a whim. And it was literally just to learn more about yoga. Like, I wanted to learn more about the poses and the anatomy and the physiology and the mental stuff. And lo and behold, a year later, I was like, well, I guess I'm going to be a yoga teacher now. because I just loved it so much. But it was a hobby for years. It was one of those things that I put on the side burner, and I was like, this is just always going to be a hobby. It's just going to be like my side hustle. I'm going to teach yoga for fun. And, that kind of leads us into where we started our conversation, with me being miserable in my job, but loving teaching yoga and wanting to do more of it, but not being able to because of my work obligations and my family obligations. So I literally only could teach like once a week, and that's all I had time for. So now I have plenty of time to teach, but at the same time, I don't have to like rush in the morning. I can have my cup of coffee at home and spend time on my mat and not have to rush my daughter out the door to daycare. I work from home now, which is a blessing and a curse right now, but it's so different, but it's so fun. Like, I'm so much happier than I've ever been, working my traditional 9 to 5 job. And it's just been so rewarding, having the opportunity to just do what I want as much as I want, and being able to really kind of flex my muscles and kind of stretch myself really far outside of my comfort zone.
Absolutely. And I mean, talking about the push-ups, I'm going to go back to all those different things that I was really wanting to interrupt you about, but I didn't want to stop you from going. I experienced the exact same thing of, I have a hard time with push-ups, but the more yoga I do, the easier they are without me actually physically having to practice push-ups, just doing yoga work, strengthening my core and my arms and all those different muscles that you're not actually working properly if you're focusing on just the one exercise.
Yes.
Yeah. Lower back is gone every time I do yoga every single day. And it is, especially right now with what's going on, the pandemic and everything, a lot of people have higher anxiety or experiencing anxiety maybe for the first time. And something that I've dealt with for years is having, low grade anxiety, which has increased with the pandemic. And when I start to experience that and working as an entrepreneur and working with a day job and balancing all these things, people are starting to suffer. And every time I start to feel that start to build up, I'm like, okay, I know I need to take a break. I need to go and do some yoga. And I immediately feel better and I'm more productive and capable to go about my day and just be happier for my kiddo and for my husband.
Yes, that's so true. A lot of the times we just like kind of white knuckle it and muscle through it, and our body is saying, stop. You need to relax. You need to get up from your desk, or you need to just breathe. You need to go do something else. And we're like, no, I'm fine. And like you said, just getting up and getting on your mat and taking some time to be present with it. I mean, breathing alone is the science of your breathing is amazing. The effect that it can immediately have on the body just by slowing down and actually like focusing on your breath. It's something that we do so naturally that we take for granted. Thank God our body breathes for us. But the breathing that we do in yoga it's incredible, the effect that it can have on the body, lowering your blood pressure, lowering your cortisol levels within your body, which relates to stress, and the slowing down, the breathing. I mean, what do we say when we're anxious? What do we say to a friend when we're anxious? Take a deep breath. And that's exactly what we do in yoga. We take a deep breath and then we take it out and then we do it again and again and again. And by the end of a 30, 45, 60-minute practice, you're like, I feel so much better than I did at the beginning, because your body has just released, there's less stress, there's less tension. We've been stretching, we've been moving, we get those feel good chemicals going in the brain. And that's why, at the end of a yoga practice, you feel so wonderful, because between the movement and the breathing and the presence, the presence of being in the pose, the presence of connecting with your breath, we don't spend very much time in the present these days. We're always, ruminating on the past, or we're fixating and worrying over the future. So when you have the opportunity in yoga to be just in the moment, it can be transformational, not just for your day, but also for your life, if you do it consistently.
It is. It has definitely changed. I would be so tightly wound without yoga that I might just pop. I think that's absolutely incredible. And I know you've got more that you want to share with everybody listening. You've got some things that are going to help them immediately. So if you could walk them through the things you've brought with us, and we're going to drop links to everything in the show notes, and helping them through this anxiety and this pandemic and all the things that they're working on. I would love to hear more.
Yeah, so the first thing that I have, it's an ebook called 5 Simple Ways to Infuse Yoga into Your Workday. So within the ebook, there's a link to a desk yoga class. There's some tips on how to be more mindful through your day, and it's just, it's 5 easy ways, and you would think that it's not that hard, but when you actually think about it, like, how often do you take time during the day to just stop what you're doing and take 60 seconds of deep breaths? We never do that because we're just so busy, and it's this thing and that thing and emails and meetings and blah blah blah. So this ebook explains 5 different ways that you can incorporate more movement, more breathing, and more mindfulness into your workday in a way that's not overwhelming. It's not going to affect your work, but it's going to affect your work in a positive way, because after taking the time to do a couple of these things, you're going to be more focused, you're going to be more calm, you're going to be able to kind of recenter yourself right in the middle of your day. So, if you're in the middle of a stressful day and you're feeling kind of scattered and your energy is all over the place, these tips are going to kind of get you, take a deep breath, recenter. Okay, let's go. Let's focus on one task at a time. So that's the first freebie that I would love to share with your listeners. And then the second is really cool. It's a 7-day Yoga Strong challenge, which basically, when you sign up for it, you get 7 days worth of short little yoga videos. So it's great for beginners that they're like, well, I don't know, I don't really want to do like a full hour of yoga. That seems really long. They're like 10 minutes or less, most of them. And it's more of a yoga inspired workout. So you're going to get a little bit of an arm workout. You're going to get a little bit of a leg workout. The booty workout is on fire. So it's just like these quick little snippets that you can literally fit in at any point in your day. First thing in the morning, stack it on the end of your workout at the gym or at your home gym, since we're all quarantined. Or you could just do it like halfway through the day in your living room. You can really do it anywhere. You don't need any special props or equipment, and it's totally doable for everybody. It's going to challenge you, but it's also, you're going to feel good afterwards, and your muscles might be a little bit sore. But it's over the course of 7 days, so you get a new workout each day, and it's kind of just a little intro into kind of the style of classes that I teach, and it's very similar to what I offer in my Yoga Strong program as well, which is a more of a holistic 8-week program. So you kind of get a little sneak peek inside the program itself through this free challenge.
Awesome. Okay, I'm super excited. I'm definitely going to check this out as a huge yoga fan who wants to get all my hands on yoga anywhere I can. I'm excited. I hope everybody else is excited too and downloads that. We'll have links to everything in the show notes. And on that, tell us a little bit more about where people can learn more about you, getting into the yoga program, and any special events you've got coming up.
Yeah, so you said WordPress earlier. I'm building my WordPress website right now. My husband and I are working together, but you can find me at ChristinaMattisonYoga.com. And at my website, I have a link to my virtual studio. So if you want to try a class, I'd love to give you a class for free. So, if you mention like, hey, I'm from the DNC podcast, I will definitely give you a free intro class so you can check it out and see what it's all about. So there's a link to my live studio Facebook page where you can check out the schedule, see the different classes that I offer. You can also find me on Instagram at Rolling Oaks Yoga. I'll post yoga tips and some videos or little tutorials from time to time. And then you can find me on Facebook as well at as Christina Mattison Yoga.
Awesome. You guys, this is so exciting, and it's going to be so helpful. I really hope you take advantage, because so many free resources, which is just crazy and awesome and exciting. Definitely go and have a little bit of yoga and lower that anxiety level, get rid of that body pain. Highly encourage you to take advantage. Thank you so much, Christina. I really appreciate you sharing your expertise with us. I would love to do this again very, very soon. And I want to thank everybody listening. I hope you came away with some new ways that will help you relax and be more mindful. And remember to like, share, and review, or throw a comment and tell us what you thought so that we can build our podcast and reach more people to grow their businesses. Until next time, thank you again so much, Christina. This is Darian with DNC Marketing. And remember, a positive mind leads to positive vibes and a positive life. Bye, guys.